instead of talking about it at 30,000 feet, I want to get into it because I was getting emails, which is like, what's the primary difference between if I'm doing it virtually and I'm doing it in person? How do I talk about the CMA when I'm not in the house? How do I ask people to sign? How do I build rapport? Like, let's give them the real tricks so that they don't have to learn by fire like you did. Kara, I'm going to start with you. Walk us through this from start to finish. What's step one? What do we need to know?
Well, basically, the first thing I would say before you get onto a Zoom call, number one, familiarize yourself with whatever virtual tool you're going to be using. Zoom is what we happen to be using with the Loken Group. So learn how to share a screen, learn how to, of course, unmute yourself, but just get familiar with how to use it. That was the first thing. So between listing agent to listing agent, we practiced a couple of times being able to know how to share a screen, know exactly what it is that we're looking for, and then have your listing presentation down to a science. Really practice. Still think of it as you're meeting with them face to face, in which you are. So you want to be very animated. You want to build rapport. You have to wait. There's a lag sometimes in the video and the audio portion of it. So it's just adjusting to really that communication style. One of the things that's very important to us at the Loken Group is all of our marketing materials that we take in. So basically our listing presentation, all of that was put into digital format for us. It was all put into just one continuous document. So as I'm sharing, I can go through and I can go over the seller's worksheet for them. I can go over what the process and next steps are. I can talk about the Loken Group promise and what that means, the Loken Group experience. So all of those things are already there for me. I have it all pulled up. I will say, turn off you need to get out of your email so your email is not dinging every time you're trying to talk to someone, because it will. So
your Slack or everything else.
Yes. So anything that I have open on my computer, I turn everything off. So that way I am focused just one-on-one with my client. And in terms of CMA, literally, I go into HAR, I run the comps, I have the comps open, I check on my CMA exactly the homes that I'm going to bring up, and I take them right into HAR, and I show them the homes.
Okay, I got to ask though, right? Because it's kind of sometimes difficult to set a price without actually seeing the property in person. Like sometimes there are things that you almost need to see to believe in residential real estate, or
Absolutely.
It might look okay, but you walk in, and I haven't found any system that shows me a picture of how something smells. So, and I'm an old school listing agent, and the way a home smells matters. How do you account for all that stuff?
Well, that is a little bit different. So a couple of things. Number one, if it's a vacant listing, obviously that has been one of the challenges. How do we see the home? How do we develop a price? So if they have purchased the home semi-recently, let's say within the past 5 years, I actually bring up their past listing and we walk through the photos, and I ask them to tell me what is different about the home. How is your home now as compared to that? I also go to the home that I feel is the absolute best comp that has very similar floor plan, same square footage. Oh, sorry, I see HAR is our MLS here in Houston. So yeah, I just saw that pop up. Sorry, guys. So I really have them talk to me about how their home compares with the best comp. So I do try to pick one. Obviously, I show them more than one, but I do try to pick the one that is closest in floor plan, age, very similar. And we do walk through it. And you'd be surprised when people have to start describing what their home looks like to you. They do get pretty descriptive, and they get pretty honest. We also have to I rely on our interior designers, our stagers that go out to the home as well. I always tell them, we set a target price in the beginning, but I do tell them that, that price may change as it gets quicker to coming to market, just because I let them know that I would like to see the home at some point when all of this is over. If it's a vacant home, I've had sellers that will leave a key for me, hide a key, tell me where the key is, and then I go and I physically look at the home after we've had our conversation, and then I call them back. And if there's any adjustment that needs to be made, to the pricing that we've set, then talk about it at that point.
Okay, so here's what I got. I got step one was make sure that I'm comfortable with the virtual tool that I'm using, because if I don't look like the expert, let's keep in mind the goal of every listing appointment. It's to make sure that at the end of it, whoever we're talking to, whether that be virtually or in person, has confidence that we're the right person to take them to the next step in the process. By the way, if you're a luxury agent, that's the same challenge you have. It just takes a different set of tools to build that confidence. Whether we're virtual or in person, that's the same. So if you're not confident with the tool, you're going to have a hard time building confidence, because this is that first impression. Number two, I heard you say practice like you play. If you are going to give a listing presentation, then it better be an amazing floor show, and you have to know it cold, because that's part of building confidence. Then I heard you say make sure you're really clear on your value, because it's even more important virtually to make sure you hit your value points. And the best way to do that is to have your listing presentation in one fluid document to learn as a speaking aid and show that value. And then I heard you say that if you're going to price these homes, you're bringing them into the process. I'm doing a screen share. I'm not showing information, but I'm giving a fiduciary explanation of the information they're seeing. Kara, did I get any of that right?
You got all of it right, absolutely. A couple of other things, we have had some sellers, they will walk us through their home using FaceTime. So really just trying to figure out what is best, what's the best tool for each of our clients, because each of them are very unique in their own way anyway. So we meet them where they are, and we really try to figure out how we can be solution-based to meet their needs and to provide the absolute best service.
I love that. I tell you what, you're making this technology. What I'm hearing you say is the key to the technology is being really human and use it like regular
Absolutely.
people.
And if I'm going to say my very first one, there was just trying to get the exact thing shared that I needed to share. It didn't share right at first. And so we're all human. So we laughed about it. We had a good laugh. I apologized for the snafu, and then we went on. But that makes me human to them. So it really is, you still have to build a rapport when you are with them, and you just need to act like they're sitting literally right across the table from you.
You know what?
Technically, they still are.
The fundamental truth of it, and it's, if it ever changes, someone make sure you email me, but people do business with people they like.
Yeah, for sure.
And James, let's talk about it. Okay, so we kind of got some tricks of the trade there. Is there anything different in your process or in the way that you think about it?
A little bit. I mean, she nailed it. I mean, we are incorporating a lot of those same practices as well. I've kind of divided it, or our team divided it into different sections where I feel like we've always been very prepared for these appointments, but I feel like the preparation is really where this begins. I mean, that's the, practicing the technology, but also it really begins on the initial call, setting the appointment. And even in the pre-qual, I've found myself with these newer appointments for virtual listings doing a more in-depth pre-qual, building additional rapport, where in the past it was more get the questions answered, set the appointment, and build rapport at the appointment.
Okay, so this idea of the pre-qual, because I don't want to just gloss over that, because I know this is a general practice with our top agents and not such a general practice with everyone else. So what is a pre-qual, and what are the questions that you're unwilling to not get answered on your listing preparation call?
Right. So we have a very specific list of questions we go through when we set an appointment, or at least 2 to 3 days prior to an appointment. So for virtual appointments, the more lead time, the better. The unnegotiable questions that we get answered are, well, there's several really. We have a checklist that we go through. It's finding out a little bit about the house, or actually in this case, a lot more about the house, because you're not going to have the opportunity to see it in person at all. So finding out beds and baths, also getting into the weeds on what type of improvements they've made. You can get a lot of indication on how someone describes their home, what their personality type is by how they describe it, whether it's the square footage and cost of improvements versus how it makes them feel and how their family spends it. I think that's helpful because you do lose some of that personality. I think like you don't see body language as well virtually. You can't get some of that tonality through audio all the time with a virtual appointment that you would get in person. So getting to know them even on a deeper level on the pre-qual, it gives you more time with them. That way you can keep the appointment very concise when you're actually in front of them presenting the marketing plan, the pricing, etc. So other things that we do in their pre-qualification call is having a good understanding, going several layers deep on why they're moving, what's motivating them to move, what's taking them to the location. Is it a job relocation? Is it due to family or school district? Also understanding their timing and going deep into that, what's important about that. And then lastly, well, not just lastly, but another key piece is their expectation on value. I think the pricing piece is probably the most challenging, being that you can't be in the home. Some ways we've combated that or we've handled that, just like Kara had mentioned, is getting clients to send us photography, their photos and video, rather than doing it. We've tried to shy away from doing it on the day of the listing appointment, the virtual appointment, because it takes additional time. It can lead to an extra 20 to 25 minutes of conversation and walkthrough and, bouncing phone, etc. So when I'm setting an appointment, I'm asking them to send me photos, send me video prior to, so I can review it during my preparation time when I'm pulling my comps, and I can actually reference that video and or photos later as well. So it's been really helpful for our team to do that in advance. So I think prep is really where is the key piece for us and myself.
I think it's really smart. The idea of getting pictures ahead of time. Keep in mind, guys, if iBuyers have been looking at houses and actually not just pricing them, but buying them by looking at photos and looking at empirical data for the last couple of years. So this is a skill, although new, it's one that we can pick up. And let's keep in mind some basics about listing. When you're doing a CMA and you're looking in a neighborhood, you can always say, look, this was the lowest price sale. This was the highest price sale. Odds are your home is going to sell somewhere in the middle. Where do you think it's going to fall? Just say stop. And then you can start to get closer in on some of these numbers. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I think is fascinating, and it's so important because in times of shifting markets, we get to kind of look back at the fundamentals. Because a rising tide rises all ships, and a lot of us look like geniuses during a boom time. And right now we can look up and maybe you ask the question, have I been doing the right pre-listing work to get more listings? Right. If the answer is no, this is a great time to start. I'll tell you, when I think about some of the listing pre-questions that I'm hearing, it's why are you moving? If we understand why somebody's doing something, we're well ahead of the game. Number two, when would you like that to happen? If we know why and when, now we're flying. Do you know what you owe on your home? This is one of those questions that you can ask, and it's not just to get the answer, but it also lets you know of the type of person you're dealing with. I promise you, if you get into a super high C or a super high S, they're going to know to the penny. You may get with a high D that has no idea what they owe, and they don't even care. They just want to go, go, go. But this is how you can start getting information. You might want to ask somebody, are there any other stakeholders in this decision making? If you're talking to maybe an older person, there might be some adult children involved, and you never want to get on a Zoom call with one decision maker, just like you never want to go on a listing appointment with one and then hope that they tell the other one how great you are. You don't want to do that. You want all the stakeholders on the Zoom call. And then the question that I love most is, if what Jason says makes sense, and if we can agree on a number, will you be signing an agreement to list your home that day? And if the answer is no, you just go right back to the start of the list and find out where you got lost. That's like, well, earlier you mentioned you were moving because of blank. Has that changed in the last 8 seconds? And you keep going, because here's the deal. If you don't set the expectation, whether it's in person or Zoom, that at the end of this meeting, once we come to an agreement, there's going to be a signing, Kara, I think it's a heck of a lot harder to get them to sign something.
I'm going to be honest.
Push back. I love it. That's why we're here.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I think people, at this point, they're looking for experience to lead them. They're looking for someone who has it under control to guide them. And if you do a really good job with your Zoom presentation, I mean, just like James was talking about the preparation, our inside sales agents at the Locum Group do that for us on the listing side. So we have all of that information going into our Zooms.
I think that's the important thing, because most of the
Yes.
people listening today are they don't have the luxury of having an ISA department to be setting these appointments. So if they don't do the pre-work, it's really hard to do the post-work.
For sure, for sure. So yeah, it's very important that James brought up that pre-work, because that is that's critical to what you do in that Zoom and how you present, and 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 how you. I asked them for the commitment to work with the local group, you know, to work with me and the local group at the end of mine. And I'm going to say right now, you know, my conversion rates are they're pretty daggone good. So
That is awesome. I think the technology, doing this thing virtually, if you use the tech right, you can really get some of these amazing moments. Meaning, like, you can show the difference between an empty room and a full room without having to explain it to somebody, with simply the push of a button, without having to actually leave your house to do it. And look, would we all love to be doing presentations in person? Sure. But you said, I thought was so smart, Carol, which is, if you're comfortable with the tool, you'll be able to start finding unique ways to use that tool.
I think right now providing peace in the storm is what is important to people. And at the Looking Group, we jumped in very early with showing instructions that are very detailed to what's going on with COVID-19. I pull up those showing instructions and I show those to people in terms of what we're asking when buyers come in, kind of that pre-screening as well, in terms of people that could potentially, you know, be exposed. And we cover illness in general, not just what's going on currently, but if there's illness in general, we're asking people not to do it. We're doing virtual video tours, you know, of our homes. We have done our first virtual open house. So we did that last weekend. So we're diving in, you know, to that as well. And really just trying to give people a sense of peace and a sense of calm, that we know, you know, we know where we're going, and really just trying to pivot and shift with the changing market and just make people feel comfortable to go with us.
Marty, don't get bored. I'm coming to you in a minute. James,
Absolutely.
are you hearing new objections? Like, are you hearing things differently? And Kara, I'm coming to you next on this. Are there any new objections, or is it the same objections that you were handling when you were going into people's houses?
I don't think the objections, I don't know that they're different. I think people initially are surprised that homes are still selling. I think there's a lot of, not necessarily misinformation, because it, you know, I can understand somebody that's not in this every day would assume, even agents, frankly, are surprised that there's a market, that there's still demand, the inventory is still low. So I think it's getting through some of the, not necessarily misinformation, but just educating them on the dynamics of the market, how things are selling, and how we can, business hasn't changed, but the result that we can get a client is still the same. How we get them there has changed. And that's where, if we can show them a plan and they feel that confidence in us through our, you know, our process and our professionalism, that gives them confidence that we can get it done. So as far as objections, not really. I found that the people that I'm having these appointments with through that pre-qual, they are the most motivated. Anybody that needs to move now has a real reason. And that's why I think, you know, Kara kind of mentioned her close rate. I mean, we're experiencing that as well. If we're getting them on an appointment in that manner, they are moving the process forward.
I think that that's so smart. You know, somebody much smarter than me said the other day that the general public tends to remember the last shift they were in, and then in their mind, all the shifts are like that. And so in 08 and 09, we saw the plummeting of values. And so you have a lot of people out there that aren't talking to their fiduciaries right now, and they just assume that housing values must be plummeting and no one's buying them because they're watching their stocks and bonds plummet, perhaps, and because they're watching the national media. And you just said something that someone else might skip through, but I think it's so smart, which is you got to remind them that there's still real estate selling, that values are holding, and you kind of have to be that economist of choice for them in the listing presentation. At least that's what I'm hearing you say.
Right. No, that's right.
Tara, is that same on your side? Do you hear it that way?
Yeah, same thing for us as well, Jason. I'm not seeing a lot of pushback. The only thing people are asking is, well, should we wait? Should we wait till this is over? And honestly, what I do is I go into our MLS and I pull up the data for the past 7 days, and I show them how many new listings have come on in the past 7 days, and I show them how many listings have went under contract in the past 7 days to give them that assurance that the market is still moving. And right now, I specifically point out, if there's not a lot of competition in their particular area that they're getting ready to sell, they need to sell now versus later. But just like James said, the majority of the sellers that we are meeting with, they are serious sellers. And I let them know, it doesn't matter what's going on in the market. During the best of times and worst of times, there are always serious sellers and there are always serious buyers. And they're in agreement with that. So we're seeing them move forward pretty quickly.
I also find that as long as the reasons didn't change, then
right.
Like anyone that wanted to sell 4 weeks ago probably had a number in their mind. If we're able to get you that number and we're able to do it right now, what really is different?
Yes.
Marty, what were you going to say, sir?
Well, I love Kara's point that sellers are serious. Now, if you had to sell, I think James said it as well. If you're selling right now, you're serious about your need to sell. And I would say the flip side applies just as well, right? It's not like a whole lot of people are just out and about visiting homes for sale because they want to tour them, right? Because they realize that puts them at risk, puts the sellers at risk. So I would say that the opposite is just as true, that the buyers that are out there right now looking at homes, they're not kicking tires. Like, they are serious about making a purchase. And so I think that's why we're also seeing, hey, 7 days on, 7 days off, look at how many homes are moving. And it's because I actually talked to a friend whose house is on the market right now. It went under contract. She said, it's the best experience I've ever had selling a house. And I said, why? And she goes, I had to clean it once. They took all the photos. They did the video. No one came because she has a young child. And so no one could tour the house. That was one of the rules. But she got it under contract via photo and video. And she only had to clean her house once. And she was like, it's the best thing ever. Normally you got to clean the house every time a showing comes up. Well, if you don't have these showings, do a really good job the first cleaning, and then allow the virtual tour and obviously the photos and the Matterport, whatever you're doing, obviously, to showcase the house online, speak for itself. So does it become something that the future, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you have a young baby and you don't want a ton of showings? Well, let me show you this option that we have as a listing agent as well.
Absolutely. And I think the market's like this bow that's being pulled back, and there's all kinds of energy here. And the energy, look, the people that wanted to buy and sell 5 weeks ago, they still want to buy and sell. And you're adding new people that want to take advantage of lower interest rates into that. And there's some folks, unfortunately, that are going to need to downsize because this wasn't great for their businesses. But there's other folks that were in the right place at the right time. They're going to need to upsize. And all of this is in this bow with this energy. And we have to find a way to service people, because you guys, no matter what's going on out there, Maslow's hierarchy of needs says that housing is essential. And if we're at a moment in time when your collective Congress locally doesn't feel that way, I promise you the consumer still does. Because to live is human, and to live in a home is just where we're at right now. And there's still people that need to sell, and there's still people that need to buy. So, Marty, I want to come to you, and I want to talk a little bit about the technology around this. But before I do, we had a couple of questions. People just want to get clear on the reason you're doing pre-work. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, James, but it sounds like the way you explained it, it does two things. Number one, it gives you more information about the property. You're getting photos. You might be getting a digital walkthrough. This informs your pricing strategy and your mindset. And number two, you use the questions you ask to weed out the people that might not be ready. And Kara, in your case, it's the ISA asking those questions, so that the people you're getting in front of are the A sellers, so that your conversion rates are high. James, jump in on this.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think the other part of the pre-work is not only with the client in the pre-qualification call and the photos you're obtaining from them, but it's the pre-work you're doing prior to the appointment to make sure when you sit down for your Zoom call, you have all your ducks in a row. You're ready to show them when you're going through your screen. Kara mentioned how they have their listing booklet, their marketing package, and how it's a PDF that they can roll through. We do the same. It's a little different, but our strategy, or what I've been utilizing, is 2 to 3 tabs with the different things I'm going to be reviewing already prepared and ready, no other screens available. So I typically start with, the initial review of the prequel, building some rapport face to face, and then I go into one of the things we do, and forgive me for who I stole this from or borrowed from Family Reunion a couple of years ago, but right after that, we review the consumer guide to go through agency and describe what that is. One thing that we started doing, and I don't know if anyone else is doing this, or maybe they are, but I am reviewing the consumer guide and what agency relationships with them are via PDF. I'm then immediately sending them .loop for them to actually sign that on the spot. And it's a good trial run of how they can electronically sign paperwork while we're on the call. If there's any issue right there, we can identify maybe a challenge, and it's already kind of showing them how .loop works. Then I proceed to pull up the PDF of our marketing booklet and go through. So I have to have all of that kind of pre-prepped prior to getting on the call, because then you're fumbling and, it makes your appointment much longer. So that's what I've been doing with pre-work. That's
really smart. Kara, you went deep on this already. Anything you would add to that? I think we beat up pre-work pretty well.
No, I think what James added, our process is a little bit different. So I'm not using .loop right then to have them sign anything, but really just making sure that I've already ran my comps. I have MLS open. Everything is open in the tabs that I need. And I'm just digging in a little bit more, and I'm really looking at the market around them so I can be that market expert for them, so I can give them great comfort when it comes to, being able to sell, and then just going through the process. So I know each of our processes are a little bit different, but then going through the process and letting them know what those next steps are going to be, and getting those listing documents out to them very quickly to sign.
I love this. And what I love is you have top agents, and we have absolute Jedi on this call, and everyone's doing it a little bit differently and finding their unique voice. But the outcome is the same, which is we're still helping people transact business. The way that I'm doing it, by the way, is I've taken my listing presentation and I've pared it down to about 23 minutes. I know that sounds crazy, but Marty will tell you I'm very scripted. So my 23 minutes, I have a hard time keeping people via Zoom much longer than that, and I only have it down to 5 different slides. I'm putting the slides behind me in the background, and I'm pointing as I go, and I'm kind of doing it like Anchorman. That's my unique voice. That's what's been working for me. And again, there's absolutely no wrong answers here. I'm also having them actually sign the electronic signatures while I'm on. Meaning I'm saying, open your email. Let's do this right now, and let's do this together. I'm trying to still leave the virtual appointment with signed documents. Yeah. I'm also, and this is, again, everyone will make their decisions. I'm sitting with my cell phone, and I'm having them download the Keller Williams app and claim me as their agent, because I'm sending them my link while we're on the Zoom together. So I do this moment where I say, go get your cell phone. We got to get this done right now, because I'm going to guide you through the transaction through the consumer app. And they say, I don't know what you're talking about. And I say, perfect, just go get your phone. And I'm walking them in. So for me to count it as a perfect virtual listing presentation, I'm getting the listing signed while I'm on the Zoom call. I'm getting the app downloaded and branded to me while I'm on the call. And then I feel really good about my world. And by the way, if I had the kind of team support that Kara has, I wouldn't be doing any of that. But it is just me in a room. I'm a solo agent in the way that I operate sometimes. And I think it's important to talk about those practices too. Marty, you're using technology. You're using command. You kind of weed these pieces together. And I'm assuming you're going to talk about a whole bunch of things. The one piece that I want to jump into, and I just throw it out there, but if we have people at home that haven't been into designs and gotten the listing presentation that's in command, we put it all in one document. Marty, this thing looks awesome when you put a little personal note in it and then you use that on the Zoom call.
100%. That's exactly where I was going to start, because I think a lot of new agents are kind of like, well, virtual listing presentation, I don't even have a listing presentation, let alone a virtual listing presentation. So where am I supposed to start, right? So absolutely, if you haven't been into Command Designs, you can go in Command, click on the Designs applet, and then click the plus sign in the bottom right-hand corner. You're going to get a choice, and you're going to do a print, right? A print style template. And then from there, you can choose listing presentation. There's actually two different ones that they can select from, kind of depending on their style. And I would explore both of those. They're about 28 pages long, and they don't have to be 28 pages long as well, right? So you have the ability to go in, decide which pages you want to use, which pages you're not going to use. I think Kara and James both did a great example of, I have my MLS with my CMA kind of pulled up on a separate tab, so maybe I don't need to spend all of the time customizing that specific page. Maybe I do want to because I believe it brings even more value on the slide. Each listing agent is going to be a little bit different. And I think if you are, a lot of us are really good at marketing, and a lot of us are not good at marketing. It is not my strength. It is an opportunity. That's why I'm so blessed to have an amazing marketing team at KWRI already putting all of this together for me. And all I have to change, right? Like, is a couple of words, a couple of pictures, and it looks amazing. Like I went to school for marketing.
Well, and we labbed that. Just so you all know out there, the way that we ended up, we have a light version and a darker version from a coloring perspective. And we brought in the top listing agents across the entire company. Lance was there, by the way, Kara, and they brought us their best pages. We said, if you could pick one page out of your listing package, what would it be? And they sent them in, and they flew them in, and they came in. And those books are a collective of the best pages from the best agents. And talk about KW culture, every one of them shared and was willing to give away what they thought their best page was. So I don't care if you sell 3 homes a year, 0 homes, or 3,000, you should get in there and go through that listing package and ask the focusing question. Is there anything missing from my current one? Can I plus what I already have with this? Also, keep in mind, Marty, that booklet lines up with the default guide that's in the consumer app. Why don't you mention that and talk through that a little bit? What is guide?
Yeah, 100%. So guide is, right now, it's one of the major differentiating aspects of the consumer app. So if we think about 200,000 consumers downloading 200,000 agents apps, right, or some variation of that map, they're all going to look the same unless our agents are getting in and customizing the guide. So the guide is in the app. It's one of the buttons at the very bottom. They can select that button and then see both either your listing or your buyer process. This is a clear example. James and Kara, 2 amazing agents with 2 processes that are not unique. However, if James and Kara and their teams don't go into the guides and change them to their expectations, their processes, it's going to look identical. So it's the way for agents right now. If you don't have a process, that's okay. It's a really good process and built out for you. You're welcome. And yet, if you have a process that you want to customize, hey, we do things just a little bit different here at the Chabris Group, right? Just a little bit different at TLG, at the Loken Group. These are the different things that we would add in, right? Do you get to meet with the stager when you work with me or not? Do you, the different kind of things that maybe steps are not there that you could add. Every state is a little bit unique. So in Texas, there is no attorney review. In other states, there is an attorney review. If I was selling a house, I would want to know that that's a step in the process, and I need to know whether or not I'm going to be able to, go through that process. So the ability to build out your guide is actually in the consumer tab. So it's the very last or second to last, depending on your version of Command, I guess. And you can, I think it's the middle tab is guides. And then you can go in and edit the photo, you can edit the headline, you can edit the kind of teaser text, and then the full text. So it is extremely customizable to be able to have a completely different looking version of your guide, but still be very kind of succinct with your process as well.
I love that, Marty. Hey, for our friends at home that want to find these 2 listing booklets that you spoke about, where do they find that in Command right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's under designs. So left-hand side, I believe it's the 7th icon down. It looks like a drawing pad with a pencil kind of hanging off of it. Once you click on that, you'll click on the blue plus sign on the bottom right. You're going to choose a print style. There's 5 to choose from. You're going for the print one. Once you get that screen up, you're going to see, okay, there's several for me to choose from on the left-hand side. It's actually listings. And then the first one says listing presentations. There'll be a little number 2 after it. You'll see the 2 templates you can choose from there. As soon as you hit the red button for use, you get taken into that WeBrand editor and you can start going to town, making it your own.
I absolutely love that. Thanks, Marty. Hey, James, let me ask you this, and then Kara, the way that you guys market is so dynamic. So I'm going to come to you next with a very similar question. James, I got people sitting at home right now and they're thinking, gosh, I would love to do a virtual listing appointment tomorrow. How do you find someone who wants to sell their house? How do you find the customers right now? What's your number one lead generation source? If I'm sitting at home right now, how can I stay in the game? How do I find some listings?
I'm finding them the same way I find them every day in any market.
That was the answer. That was the best answer.
Did I nail that?
Oh my gosh, you nailed it. And here's what I want to tell everybody out there. If you're trying to make a change in your life right now, it's got to start, and Peter Chabris would say this, it's got to start with changing your actions. Meaning you got to manage yourself before you can help manage anybody else. And so here's the focusing question. What's the vision of your company for the next 90 days? I know you have your 5-year visions out there, and I know you have your 1-year visions, but right now everything is a little different. What's the 90-day vision for your company? And then what are the new tasks you have to put into place to get it? Kara, I think if we called every person in our data bank, starting with our past clients, because those are based on shared experience, then our sphere of influence, and then strangers, and all we use is the Adele script. Hello, how are you? Heck, I think that's enough to start finding people that need our help.
Absolutely, Jason. And one of the things that we did when this started, our inside sales agents, well, really our whole team, it did come down to a team effort. We were calling our forever clients. We were checking on them. We wanted to make sure that they were okay. We did that, we do that during the hurricanes because the local group cares. So it really is making contact with them and seeing how we can be a resource. So the local group has TLG Cares, which is our nonprofit portion, and we've been helping people with grocery cards. People are losing their jobs. We've been giving out some grocery cards. We've given out the face mask. We have some antiseptic cleaning wipes and spray at the office, and really just trying to figure out how we can be a resource to people. So calling our sphere, that's the most important as well. So just really working all angles. We're still working, we're getting on social media. People are at home right now. So what are they on? They're on their computers. They are on Instagram. They are on Facebook. Really just being able to have an increased presence and actually having, making more calls. Before, we all had that magic number of calls that we had to make in order to reach one contact, and that number of contacts a day that we all wanted to get. Well, right now we've increased that, and we've had to increase it dramatically.
100%. And I've been using this hello, how are you script, which is so human. And by the way, if lead generating feels like a chore to you, what if your highest and best mission in life could simply be to call someone who hasn't spoken to anyone else in a day and just have a conversation? Like, imagine if lead generation could be being a first responder in some ways. And when I think about that, I know it sounds hokey, but it means something to me. And then I always get into this, well, how do you move that conversation into a business conversation? And the way that I do it, and here's why I think I'm able to do it and feel good about it, is because I really believe that I'm a fiduciary in people's lives. And I think that it's during times like this that I need to be there to add value, because part of my responsibility is to help them live as big as life as they can. And so what I usually say, this was a question that came in, and maybe we can all, after I get to the hello, how are you, I then say, so what's going on in your world? Did you have anything planned that you're just not going to be able to do? And then people say, yes, I had a vacation plan. And well, where were you going? And they tell this whole thing. And I say, anything else? And they say, no, that's about it. And here's the thing. That's immediately when I can offer value. I can say, well, hey, listen, the reality is you can't go on that vacation. I get that. But have you made a list of all of your household expenses lately? Because right now it's that time in the economy where we can start to look at all of our expenses and maybe save money so that when you go on the same trip next year, it's an even bigger trip, because every dollar we save matters. Have you thought about refining or shopping your homeowner's insurance? And then boom, I'm right into Keller Mortgage or Keller Covered. Not because I'm trying to sell a mortgage, but because I'm trying to care about people and lower their expenses. The other way that I do it is I'll often say, if you didn't have, when you say, well, did you have to cancel anything else? A lot of people just say, we were going to move. but I don't know if we're going to do that now. And now you're right into a real estate conversation. James, are you dancing around it? I mean, when you're calling to check the people, how do you move into business?
Yeah, it's very similar. We're referring to it as a care call. We're not asking. Normally, we're who do you know, looking to buy, sell, or invest that I can reach out to or connect with. That's not coming up. It's starting with the value add, the Keller covered. Once we find out get deep. These calls are much longer. I am a much more, I try to be concise typically, but this has definitely slowed me down as far as, being more intentional, being more present with these care calls, really understanding where they're at. But we've had a lot of conversations around forbearance, just being a resource, providing links that usually opens it up. Maybe they're not needing that, but maybe someone in their world needs to know what those resources are available. So that opens it up to, would you care for me to connect with them? That's kind of almost the referral piece still in part of that. So yeah, very similar.
I think it's really important. In Shift, Gary and Jay talk about that you got to run your household the same way you would run your business. And what I marvel at is if you had your entire sphere of influence in front of you today and you said, raise your hand if your financial advisor called you over the last 3 weeks and helped you make a list of your household expenses so that you could save some money during this time of uncertainty. Everyone's hand would go down. And I really believe that when we save the consumer money all the time, but especially during times like this, they remember that. And when we come out of this thing, we're still the fiduciary. Because again, if this bow is being drawn back, you want to get into emotional proximity with people. Marty, I think one of the best ways to do it is to offer sound advice. Whether they're buying a home or not, we have to be a voice of that advice.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think oftentimes it's when you're we talk about FORD all the time. That's the acronym that I always teach, right? So going through, when you get to occupation.
Well, let's hit forward real quick. You got family, occupation, recreation, and dreams.
Absolutely.
And the reason you're talking about those 4 things, right, Marty, is those are the funneling questions for real estate. Family, it's growing or it's shrinking. Occupation, you're either up or out or moving. Recreation, the average American goes to the same 3 vacation spots their whole life. That's a conversation about a second home. And then dreams, everyone ties one to a physical locale.
100%. Well, there goes that point. That's why Jason Abrams is amazing, people. See, that's what it is. But I think when you get to occupation and you start asking them how are things at work? How has your work environment changed? Are you going in? Are you staying home? Are you kind of what? They're inevitably, unless they're a complete jerk, they're probably going to say, well, what's up with your work? And then it's a caveat to kind of have a little bit of a real estate-based conversation without feeling like you led with the real estate-based conversation. And you're still not going to say, hey, do you know anyone looking to buy, sell, or invest 30, 69 days? And when you start to say, hey, well, things are actually, they're changing and they're not. People are still buying and selling. We're just doing it a little bit different. Here are some of the ways. Well, I think when they start realizing that the market is still alive and that people are still buying and selling, they say, well, actually, so my wife and I were talking about, we were thinking about selling, but we're not putting it on hold for 6 to 12, maybe 2 years. But so what you're telling me is that people are still buying houses? Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's just some different ways that we're utilizing on my team or whatever that may be. And then you just kind of stop there. I think that teaser is enough a lot of times where they're like, well, tell me more, like what? And then you start talking to them about the different processes that you can use to sell a house without people 100% being there all the time.
I think that's so right. And I think Dreams is the one right now where you can actually make a lot of headway, because we all know that when the stock market and bonds change perspective as far as valuation, that people might look for liquidity. And if you don't want to sell an asset when the stock market is down, you may choose to sell a cash asset like a vacation home. And remember, somebody else who's pulling liquidity by selling a vacation home, that's a vacation home that somebody else gets to buy to enjoy. I think you're going to see a lot of people, Marty, who may have said, I was going to buy the place in Hawaii virtually anyway. Now
Right.
might be a great time to do it. You think I'm crazy?
No, not at all. And I think we all need to get really good at this right now, because I think this is what the future may become. I think a year from now, when I'm sitting across from a seller and I can say, here's our marketing plan, if it does not include something that is, a virtual tour, a 3D Matterport, we're going to We're going to do some virtual open houses in addition to our actual open houses. Because think about it, am I marketing your home just to the people in this neighborhood or this city or this town? Or am I marketing to your home to the entire US or the globe, right? The entire world. And it's those people right now that get really good at this process that are going to excel when this is all over, right? And I think we always talk about market share. In a shift, you have the opportunity to take as much market share and never give it back during a shift. I think right now that's happening in the digital world as well. When you take digital market share right now, when you become the asset that is excelling in, whether that's your YouTube channel, hosting videos about the neighborhoods, right? Or your Facebook page having the neighborhood park tour. Like, did you know Cinco Ranch has 37 parks? Let me give you a 10-second tour of each of them. And now all of a sudden you become the expert in those electronic digital measures. Well, someone a year from now that wants to replicate what you just did, they're never catching up because you're not stopping. You're just going to find more neighborhoods and more ways to capture that digital client as well.
I think that's so smart. I watched a regional tech trainer demonstrating a virtual listing appointment, and they did a screen share, and they went into command, and they went into campaigns. And while they were talking to the seller, they built out what a Facebook ad for their home would look like. It took 4 minutes. And then they said, the only thing we got to do now is sign some papers. And as soon as we do, I'm going to push enter. And I was thinking, this is so cool because the humanity is catching up to the technology and vice versa. I'll tell you what, you take realtor superpower, you add in some technology, and if anything, this shift might force us to embrace some of it that we may have been a little reluctant to embrace. Guys, there is no stopping where this industry is going. We got a question that just come in. Does anybody, and you can raise your hand so I don't interrupt, do we have any answers for the elderly seller that doesn't really have access to Zoom or FaceTime and is overwhelmed and scared? Kara, take us away.
Well, we've been doing some phone consults as well. And so not everyone is going to be in that digital realm. Again, with the phone consult, I think that is actually your toughest, right? You can't see them. You can't see their body language. You can't read them. You're not able to build rapport like you can on video. So it really is going through and being actually even more pointed in a phone consult, because you're even on a Zoom, like you were talking about, you're down to 23 minutes, Jason. And my Zoom consults are not that long either. But I think even on a phone, it's even less time. So it really is going through and just trying to walk through the process and see, is there anyone else in their world that they can bring in that could help them maybe with the video technology? And you start with the phone and then you try to build from there. So that's how we've kind of done it.
I think that's smart. And I also want to caution, this idea that the elderly may be the ones. I know an awful lot of young people that don't know how to use all this technology. And then on the contrast, I know that Mo Anderson woke up one day and decided to become an expert in the quantum algorithmic approach to command. So and at 83, she knows more about our platform than most of y'all. I said it. So let's give everybody the benefit of the doubt on that. We got final thoughts. Marty, I'm coming to you first, James, then Kara. We got agents out there that are trying to learn new skills. We got new technologies. Leave us with one thought about taking listings virtually.
So obviously it's going to be get into command, use command, and learn command. And a lot of times people ask me, how did you get so good at command? I used it every single day. I made a whole lot of mistakes, right? I was like, I didn't know that button didn't do what I thought it was going to do. That page didn't load the way I thought it was going to load. So using it on a regular basis, we all have a little more time than we wish we did right now. Get into designs and start playing with those presentations that are there, because those can be your pre-listing packets. Those can be your listing packets. Those can be your marketing presentations. I mean, there's so many different variations that can be created from those two assets. So really focus on the first step before you do a virtual marketing presentation or listing presentation is to get that listing presentation. That's why I would encourage the majority of agents to start and even look at your own. It may not be anywhere near as polished as the ones that are there, and now they will be. So that's where I would start, is learn those listing presentations, create amazing ones from there.
I love that. And along with that, if you guys want some more scripts on how to help people save money, go right into Connect. you're going to see, and a lot of you are watching on Connect, there's the live window. Scroll down, you're going to see a big button for maps. Scroll down just under that, and you're going to see a big button for save your customers money. This is going to take you a link. It's going to let you build a landing page, which is, it sounds complicated. It isn't, for Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered. There's also some great scripts there from Cody Gibson. This guy is a script Jedi. He's got the suits to prove it. And he's there with his best stuff. You can't miss it. Check it out. James, final thoughts, virtual listings.
Yes. The key is, I think it's doubling down on your lead gen. You have got to ask for these appointments. I think that's key. How do you get them? You ask. But really, I think the key, I mean, the main focus from all of this, I think for me is it's the preparation and just practice of how to present. The prep is key for this type of a presentation.
That's great. Really well said. And thank you so much for sharing so openly, by the way, with all the secrets today. I know everyone appreciates it. Kara, final thoughts, the virtual listing.
Yeah, James kind of went down the same road that I was going to go down. I think your lead generation is going to be key at the Locum Group. I am very fortunate to have an awesome inside sales team that is doing a phenomenal job of that right now. All of our support staff, but you need to, he is right. You need to practice. You need to be very deliberate in your presentation online, and you need to think of those people as sitting across the table, but you still have to build that rapport. That's important. Think outside of the box. How can you do things a little bit differently and be a resource?
All right, that's brilliant. Kara, thank you so much. I know how valuable your time is, and we were honored to have you. And for my part, you guys, I just want you to remember the basic tenets of all listing presentations. The question, are you building confidence in whoever you're speaking to that you're the right person to shepherd them through the experience? Use the vision speech in the last section of it and go through, ask the fundamental questions. What do the seller wants most? What do they want out of their realtor? What do they want to hear? Then make sure your presentation matches up with what the masses are saying. We have the data. Please use it. Get into command. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay happy, Keller Williams. You're the best part of our ecosystem. We're grateful to you. We'll see you again soon.
Hey guys, how are you?
Very good.
All right. You guys got any questions or anything you want me to answer for you?
Yeah.
Good,
No,
Brett?
I had a question. He was talking about Facebook neighborhood park tour. Is that like a neighborhood snap? Was that him saying like what do you call, like, yeah, like a neighborhood snap of like the market?
Well, that's available in the snapshot. But I want to say it's more linked to the insights, I would think. What do you think, Frank? Spacebar.
I didn't catch the beginning of the question.
Go ahead, Renzo, tell me again.
One of them was speaking about like becoming a better agent and having more knowledge on the market. He spoke something about a Facebook neighborhood park tour. So I was just wondering what that is exactly. What was he referring that to? Facebook neighborhood park tour.
Was Facebook neighborhood what?
Park tour, like a tour.
PARK.
Yeah, PARK.
Yeah, I saw. Hold on a second. I know what that.
Yeah, I think that was in the Snap or Insights or somewhere.
Yeah, I heard him say about. I wasn't sure what that was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he's referring to there. And I know Frank's looking right now. Um, I'm looking. Yeah, I don't see anything in Facebook, so I'm pretty sure that's what that's relating to. If not, I'll find out more information if Frank can't find anything.
Okay. Yeah.
Can't find what I saw earlier right now.
I know I definitely saw something about that where it features different things. Like I know when we do that video inside Command, I'll share my screen real quick and go jump there real quick. We go into Command, and then we go to the oh, it is working again. I was gonna say shoot, it wasn't working. Go to the design library, and if you do that video, you can kind of watch the video for that area. So like when I play this one, if I play it for you, it's going to show, sorry. Let's see. I thought it said something in here about the parks. Maybe not. I thought it had something there about the parks. I know I've seen it somewhere in design or command somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, but you do know what like you did hear him say that though, right? Because I never heard anything like that, so I thought it would be something like that video that you just showed me. Maybe he was just talking about the neighborhood insights and what the people living there were more related to, more bound to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'll see if I can dig a little bit deeper and find that out. And then what I would say, like, it's either going to be something like that, or I'll see if we can locate it in command. The other thing that I might suggest is like inside of your mobile app when you're like if you're working in an area and like even on your website, you can create like a page based on a community or a standalone page, and you can actually go out and like take videos and show like hot spots of like where you live, like if there's like a dog park or a great park to take the kids. Like right behind me, I live, I have Washington Lake Park, and there we have like, 7 soccer fields, 8 baseball fields. We have a hockey rink, a tennis court, a futsal court, basketball. We got a trail, we got a dog park, we got a skate park, all in there. So like I could go walk through there and do a quick video and do like a little snap highlight reel of the parks or the things that are in that area. I mean, that's something else that you could put together. Just content that you could send out just showing that you know about the area.
Okay. Got it.
So, I mean, you could do that and even feature local businesses, but I'll see if I can find out more information on that for you.
All right. Thank you. And then
Good.
one more thing was they were talking about there was a file where you could go and read about saving your client's money.
Yes. So if we go,
I was trying to look for it, but I couldn't find it. I'm on Connect right now.
yeah, if we were in Connect, let me switch over. Let me make my screen bigger again. Inside of Connect. And I have to move this box.
Hey Tiff, you should. I'm going to jump off I'm going to jump off this. You should be able to end it when you're done, right?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Frank. If we go to where it says resources here, and then you go down to the Keller Cloud products, I believe is where it is. I thought that's where it was. Maps. Maybe it's in the marketing. It doesn't say what he says it should say. Let's go down a little bit more. And I would say that it's going to be in that Keller. You got the Keller mortgage here, and there's branding there. I have to figure out where the other one, but that's where it should have been. Why is it not there?
Yeah, I was trying to look for on the front page because I thought that's what he said. You would just go on the front on the homepage of Connect, scroll down past maps, coaching, and then he said it would be there, but I don't see it.
Oh, okay. Is that where he said here? Bold pivot, command your business. Right here.
Oh, would that be talk to your clients about
help your clients now? And then when you go in here, it tells you how to make that agent landing page, what text messages, what you can put on social media, and here's some phone scripts, email templates.
Oh, okay, there it is. Yeah, I didn't see it. I scrolled past it.
Yeah, and it's really easy to make the landing page. If you're in command and you want to make a landing page, you can probably integrate this page into your website. You would go down here where it says consumer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go over here, you would hit create a new site. And then you could probably put this one on your agent page because it's Keller Mortgage and Keller covered. Or if you wanted to keep it as a standalone page, you would, but you probably could add this on to your agent site and it would be something valuable to have on your site. So you would just click that and then click create page and then follow the instructions that are, listed here.
Okay. Got it.
All right. Did you get anything? What was your favorite thing from that?
I liked the pre-qualifications, or the main questions you should ask, which is like why they're moving and when, and how they were very detailed with that. So I did take some notes on that. So it's also another question. It's like, do you know how much you owe to your home? Are there any other stakeholders? Because you want to be able to, if you're gonna make a Zoom call with all of them, not just one of them. Mm-hmm. And if everything sounds good, would they list with you today? And if not, then go back to the beginning and
start back
review
over
with them why not today if everything's the way that they want it.
Exactly. Awesome. So we'll be trying to feature some more of these just to make it like a little bit more there for you guys and to be able to answer questions for you like afterwards. So hopefully you got some value out of it. They have some really good ones on there. And then I think I told you about the event that we have with Dave Jenks that's on the calendar and then on the Facebook page. Make sure you get registered for that. Okay.
I couldn't, where is that Dave Jenks one?
If you go on to
the calendar.
Yeah, the calendar.
What day is it? Because I was there, but I couldn't.
The 17th. So if you go to the calendar.
Yeah, I don't see it.
It says 17th.
Yeah.
Oh, it's this Power Up Pivot. This one.
Oh, Power Up Pivot. Okay.
Yep. And then you got to register through this link here.
Oh, okay.
I wonder if you hit register now, if it takes you there. Let me see. Yeah, if you hit register now, it takes you to the Eventbrite, and that's how you'll be able to register.
Okay, great. I'll be doing that today. And then I was gonna attend that other Mindset Pivot Your Perception. Is that another live show that they're doing on Connect?
Yes, and we're gonna stream it the same way as we did this one.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Awesome. So I'll see you in a few.
All right. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.